Welcome to this edition of Business Video Today. I'm your host, Steve Von Haar. Join us this time, Rob Lips, the Executive Vice President of Sales over at Sonic Foundry. Welcome, Rob.
Well, hey, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Sonic Foundry. You guys are one of the pioneers in the online video space with a long-term reputation in this area. So tell us a little bit about where Sonic Foundry is right now, what you folks are up to.
Sure. Well, Sonic Foundry, we're focused at this moment on automating the capture, management, and delivery of rich media content and video content. So our goal is to help enterprises across all verticals effectively capture knowledge and build learning or online repositories of video content, whether it's executive communications, corporate training, education, lectures, guest speakers. Any content that's being presented in rooms around the world across the enterprise, our goal is to make it as seamless and behind the scenes as possible to effectively capture that content at a large scale and be able to broadcast that out over the web live or on demand, and then make the content easy to find after the fact.
So you guys have long been associated with deployment in the education sector. First of all, tell us how that's going and whether or not you're seeing traction in other areas like government and enterprise applications.
Yeah, we've seen interest and growth across all of our verticals. Our largest vertical is education. Our media site application is used by education for everything from a blended learning environment, which is recording classroom content, making it available to students online, both live and on demand, as well as recording guest speakers that come into educational institutions, and to help educational institutions deliver on the promise of lifelong learning, which is a concept in education that's gaining a lot of traction. Is the ability for universities, especially professional programs, to have the ability to maintain a relationship online with their MBA students, for example, in a business school, or their medical students, and being able to serve up that content to them over the course of their careers, not just their studies. So the demand in education for us has been our largest single vertical, but we're seeing growth across all verticals. And certainly education continues to grow. From a lecture capture standpoint, that's one aspect of education that's expected to grow sharply in the coming years. It's on the hearts and minds of provosts and CIOs across many campuses.
But certainly you folks aren't a one-trick pony, to say the least. You have a strong base of business in the enterprise side. How are you seeing people begin to think about video for business-oriented communications? Is it an area
Sure.
that folks are starting to pay more attention to?
Absolutely. I mean, the business of video in a corporate enterprise setting or in a government enterprise setting is as much a cultural discussion as it is a technology discussion. And certainly the technology has been there for a long time, but I think now more recently, corporations are starting to understand how they can deal with bandwidth constraints and get the bandwidth question of their enterprises resolved so that video can become a useful tool for communications in the enterprise. And I think over the course of the past several years, there's been a predominant concern about running video on the same network as critical applications such as ERP systems, and whether video may have a negative impact on those transaction systems that those businesses that depend on. But I think with the innovations in how video is being compressed and delivered and the quality levels that have been able to be achieved, I think a lot of those concerns have been mitigated a bit, and it's allowing these organizations to tap video with a bit less concern on the negative aspects that could potentially happen in their organizations. And that's really sort of unleashed the hounds in terms of people's ability to adopt applications like Sonic Foundry's media site.
Now, one way that you folks are mitigating the concerns as well is moving from your base of on-premise solutions into the event services market as well. Tell us how that's going.
Yeah, it's actually gone exceptionally well, and I'll introduce a third one there, which is customers that maintain an on-premises instance of our media site technology as well as a hosted or cloud-based service. So you're finding a lot of companies saying, yeah, I'd like to run the video for my internal audience, my employee audience, for example, on my network, but for all my external-facing marketing type of content, I want to contract with a cloud provider, for example, for those kinds of services. and run that outside of my network. And that's where Sonic Foundry has had a huge advantage. We deliver our media site technology in effectively 3 flavors. You can have it all and own it and run it on your own premises and do with it what you like. You can maintain a mix, which is you can have captured content in your organization and have the back-end delivery and management be cloud-based, hosted by us. Or we can come in and offer you a turnkey service where we'll come in with our AV professionals and our technology professionals, and we'll capture and stream and manage your entire event or your entire engagement. We do this oftentimes for companies like Gulfstream when they launched their most recent aircraft. We did the webcasting of the PR for them. They're also a customer that maintains a media site implementation as well.
Indeed, we're seeing video becoming more and more flexible. People buying it in different ways, people using it in different ways, and it'll be fun to watch the market develop over time. Rob, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Business Video Today. Thanks for joining us for this edition, and be sure to mark your calendars for February 1st to February 3rd for the Business Video Expo, where business video thought leaders will be joining us to talk about innovation and adoption patterns for business video in day-to-day corporate communications. For Business Video Today, I'm Steve Underhar. Thanks for your time.